I married a stranger for a dying girl's wish, but now I don't want to get divorced. 8 months ago, my buddy Jordan called me at 11 p.m. crying. His cousin Natalie had stage 4 cancer, 19 years old, 2 months left. Natalie had a bucket list. One thing was seeing her best friend Kelsey get married. Kelsey had been single for 2 years. No time to find someone. Jordan asked if I'd marry her. Courthouse wedding, take photos for Natalie, divorce quietly after. He'd pay me $5,000. I was 26 and drowning in credit card debt from my brother's funeral. $5,000 would clear it. Plus, I saw Natalie's photo in that hospital bed and just said yes. I met Kelsey at a coffee shop. She walked in and said, "This is completely insane." We both laughed because what else do you do? She explained Natalie had been her best friend since 2nd grade. Natalie's biggest fear wasn't dying. It was dying thinking Kelsey would be alone forever. We agreed to the plan. I'd move into her apartment so it looked real. Take tons of photos, play the part, then divorce and never speak again. The courthouse wedding was surreal. Kelsey wore a white Target dress. I wore khakis. We didn't even kiss. Then we drove straight to the hospital. When Natalie saw us in our wedding clothes, she burst into tears, kept saying, "You did it," over and over. We took 50 photos. She was so happy she was shaking. I moved in the next day. We set rules immediately. I'd pay $300 for rent, split groceries, stay out of each other's way. First week was awkward. We'd both go for coffee at the same time and do that weird dance. But you can't live with someone and stay strangers. Week 3, we started talking at dinner. She told me about substitute teaching. I told her about my warehouse job. Normal stuff. Natalie wanted weekly visits so we'd go together. We got good at playing married. I'd put my arm around Kelsey. She'd rest her head on my shoulder. One time Natalie asked how I proposed. I froze. Kelsey jumped in and described this whole story about a picnic with string lights. She sold it so well I almost believed it. Month 2, I woke up at 3 a.m. to Kelsey crying through the wall. I knocked, and we ended up talking until sunrise about her dad who died when she was 16. I told her about my brother, about finding him. After that night, things changed. We'd watch movies on the couch. She'd text me memes during lunch. I'd grab her favorite energy drinks at the store. Month 3, my car died. Kelsey drove me to work for 2 weeks. She'd get up at 5 a.m. even though she didn't start until 8 because my shift started at 6. When I said she didn't have to, she said, "That's what you do for people you live with." Month 4, she got food poisoning. I stayed home from work, held her hair back. She told me I was better at taking care of her than her ex ever was. I started noticing things. How she hummed when she cooked. How she'd scrunch her nose when thinking. And I'd catch her looking at me too, then quickly looking away. Month 5, Natalie got worse. We visited almost every day. Kelsey would cry in the car afterwards and I'd hold her. One time she fell asleep against my shoulder and I sat there for over an hour. Month 6 was the family Christmas party. Everyone treated us like a real couple. Kelsey's aunt asked when we were having babies. When we left, Kelsey said, "That felt really nice." And I said, "Yeah, it did." 2 weeks ago, Kelsey made pasta and some old song came on. She started dancing and grabbed my hand. We swayed in the kitchen for 5 minutes, her head on my chest. I realized I didn't want this to end. 4 days ago, Jordan called. He was yelling, happy yelling. Natalie's scans came back clean. The tumors were shrinking. She was going to live. I said that was incredible. Jordan said, "So you guys can finally get divorced now, thank God." I hung up and sat there. Kelsey came home and I told her about Natalie. She cried and laughed, then said, "So I guess we can start the divorce process." She pulled out her laptop, started Googling divorce lawyers, talking about paperwork. I wasn't listening. I was thinking about how I didn't want to leave, didn't want to stop having dinner with her every night. She asked if I was paying attention. I said no. I told her I didn't want to get divorced. She laughed like I was joking. When I didn't laugh, she stopped. "What do you mean?" I said somewhere between the fake marriage and real life, I'd fallen for her. That this stopped being pretend months ago. Kelsey closed her laptop. "You can't do this to me." "Why not?" "Because this was a deal for Natalie. It was never supposed to be real." "But it is real. You know it is." She stood up. "We're friends. We did something nice for someone dying, but she's not dying anymore, so we go back to normal." "What's normal?" I asked. She didn't answer. She went to her room and shut the door. That was 3 days ago. She's been avoiding me since. Leaves before I wake up. Come.